What are we doing then, Ron?
Well, we're going to go for a CV boot change on this left hand side passenger. We're going to go for full service spark plugs, oil, filter, and yeah, should change the.
Can you tell me why we're doing the CV boot?
Well, yeah, we had a bit of an accident. We had a bit of an accident with the split. I got down on a bumpy road and it flipped off and smashed me a CV boot.
Okay.
So, cheap fix, but 2 hour labour.
Could have been worse.
So,
Could have been worse. Right, so the plan is jack the car up this side where the CV boot needs to be placed. It's the inner one. Drain the oil out. Do the oil and filter while it's in the air. Air filter's staying as it is, I take it.
Yeah.
We're doing fuel filter as well?
Just oil.
Just oil and filter, perfect. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So here it is. It's a nice tarty little RS wannabe ST. It's got the full RS kit. Lots of carbon fibre. It's an absolute beast.
Oh yes.
So let's get stuck in.
Let's go.
It's like a match made in heaven. Look at that! Okay, so the car's jacked up in the air. I'm going to raise these jacks here to the highest point. So they've got 3 holes. I could put it on the end, but I don't really want to because it's obviously going to be quite unsafe. So I put the safety pin through the jack. Use the securing lock so it can't come out. Put this under somewhere secure on the car. Not there. I'm going to put it right underneath here, which is the rear axle. So I need to go up a little bit higher. And then if the car should ever fall for whatever reason, it's safe. It's not going to fall on me or Ronnie and obviously injure us or potentially kill us. Yeah. Okay, so the oil is now being drained from underneath. There was a 17mm spanner or socket. So that's all being drained away. The oil filter is underneath this lovely tube. The plenum chamber?
Plenum.
And it's a bit of a pig to get to. So if you have a look down here, so you've got the oil filter housing just here. So it's a 36mm nut on the top, and you haven't actually got any room to get a like normal size ratchet on that. So I've got my 36mm spanner. I've got an adjuster from 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. Oh sorry, 1/2 inch to 3/4, and then I've got my diddy little adjustable ratchet. So I have taken the old one out. I'm just putting the new one in now. So you can see how much turn I can get on it. Anyone like pass. It's a bit pitiful, but these modified cars tend to have this sort of issue where they have so much stuff in the engine bay to try and make them go faster or look better that, you know, it's a bit of a pain when you're trying to do like regular servicing. So with the oil filter then, you don't want to do it up too tight because it's only a plastic cap. It has an oil seal on there as well, so you'll feel when it gets tight. I'm just doing this with one finger at the moment and you'll get a bit of resistance there. So with the resistance in place, now you shouldn't be able to push it any further. And that's tight enough. Just give it a quick wipe with a rag in case you've got any awkward customers. And away we go.
Days.
Next job, removing the cover at the top of the engine to get access to the spark plugs.
They're all loose, Sam. Not one of them are in. It's an easy job for you, isn't it?
So we have
that's how we bought the car. Loose engines up.
Wow. So there's some witchcraft and wizardry that you can. Christ, so the air filter's loose as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well moved.
It's a proper modified car. Bits are missing and loose and all sorts. It's good one. It's like a rave. Here it comes. Any suggestions, Ron? Is this a genuine RS?
certainly is. Got serial numbers on the back.
So tell us about this engine as I'm taking these apart then.
Well, you've got the block mod, which is in beneath the cylinder head. That's been supported by a company called Dream Science. It's actually got the Dream Science map installed on it, which is taking it to about 320, 330 brake horsepower. This service it's having now should hopefully give it a bit more extra life.
So it's heavy right-footed owner.
Yeah. See what it's on with.
Are these standard coil packs, you know?
They are the injectors.
They're Volvo coil packs, so they'll be probably an aftermarket jobby then. They allow more spark.
Volvo? The Volvo engine in it?
It's a Volvo! Does that mean it's reliable and safe if you have a
Of course it is.
unfortunate
Volvo.
mishap? Right, so you've got your coil packs here. They're held in with a 8mm bolt. You've got a wire on top of them as well. Just come back. Let's do that. So just push down on the end. In fact, I'm going to go one step better. To avoid breaking these caps, I'm just going to put the screwdriver in here slightly. And then as the screwdriver is lifted, I can just pull the plug straight off the back. Now this is a 5-cylinder car, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one's just under here, so I'll take this cover off as well.
Nice and loose.
And what's really handy with these cars is you have perfect access to view your cam belt. You can see the condition of the cam belt, so actually it's in really good nick. There's no age cracks or anything. If there was age cracking on this belt here, I would definitely recommend changing this, because if the cam belt was to snap for any reason, the whole engine possibly will go kaput. So what I'll do is I'll go through, I'll loosen up all of these bolts. It's a bit tight. So you can see here I've got the cap. I just put this screwdriver under here. Let's pull that off.
Easy as it.
Now you can use these buttons here, but you have a risk of snapping the end off, and then it'll end up looking like this one here that had the end already snapped off. So the best thing to do is just to have absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Just put it underneath the lip, lift it up over the edge, and it'll just slide straight off. He says. Okay. So best practice as well is to make sure that when you take a coil pack out, it goes back in the same place, so that you don't have any faults or anything there. So they just, when the bolt is undone, just wiggle through, and that's your coil pack off. You can look down, maybe it's a bit to see down in there, and your spark plug is just down in the bottom. Spark plug here, and I've got my specific spark plug tool, which has a rubber boot inside to stop any movement on this porcelain. If the porcelain snaps on your spark plug, it's basically in the bin and start again. So they slot in, and then there's no movement there. The movement you're going to get is with the socket. The ideal way to do it is to test to make sure you've got the right socket before you put the socket down into the hole where this spark plug is, because you don't want to end up snapping the spark plug in situ. So let's get these ones out. Okay, so holding the end of the ratchet with one hand, you can extend these ends, and you just want to try and do this. If you end up doing it one-handed and you can move it side to side, you could end up snapping the spark plug top, which you don't want to do. You want to make sure that you've got plenty of sort of resistance there with one hand, and then it makes the whole job a little bit more streamlined and easier. Now, never ever do these spark plugs with power tools, because you'll end up obviously breaking them and potentially breaking the cylinder head. Always doing by hand, and when they get to a certain point where they seem quite easy, you can unscrew them by hand as well to make it a little bit easier. Start them always by hand. If you start them with a ratchet and they're slightly off center, you can strip the threads. I believe these have got aluminium heads, so the threads are so weak. So getting cramp in my hands there.
Very fragile. Very fragile.
Yeah. Okay, and that's out. So pull the spark plug out and inspect it. So we've got a nice brown colour, so it means we're getting a good spark and good fuel mix. If it's black, it's obviously too sparky. If it's wet, it's obviously too fuely. That to me looks absolutely perfect. We'll compare this one to the new one. So we're making sure that both pistons are exactly the same length, which they look to be, the same style, and then we're ready to go. Let's fit this one back in.
Order some. Yes! Yes, boy!
So the last thing we have to do on the service here, it's only an oil and filter change, is make sure we fit the right oil for the type of engine. Now this is a heavily modified engine, so we're going to go for the Castrol Edge 040 or 0W40 oil. Recommended is 6 litres, so we've got 4 litres here and 4 litres there, so in theory I have 2 litres left over. I'm going to put the 4 litres straight in, start the engine, get everything rotating, check it with a dipstick, and then go again and just top up whatever's needed. So I've got an oil funnel to sort of stop me shaking all over the place and putting oil all over the place. You got a bit of panic then, didn't you? Oh God, what's he doing?
Too busy filming.
Oh. So there are some simple ways of actually filling oil. I wouldn't recommend I wouldn't recommend tipping it this way. If you tip it this way, you've got more chance of everything splurging out. If you tip it sideways, it creates an air bubble on the side and actually pours in a lot more easier, so then you don't get that sort of splurge of air bubble coming out. So top tip that. Tell your friends. So I fill it up nice and slowly because I don't know how this is going to take with the... Sometimes the oil sits in the top here until it actually drains through. Seems to be going down quite nicely and quite quickly. So it's going to take a little bit of time to do this. But in the meantime, there are going to be a few videos coming out for this car. So the service is one of them, fitting a inner CV boot's the other, and actually fitting the front splitter is a third one. So be sure to check those out. Nothing like a bit of plug. The worst thing I've ever done when I worked in a garage. Drain the oil. Yeah. Got everything, all the service all done. I was like, yes, brilliant. Put the oil in, looked up, 5 litres, brilliant. Had one of these, stood there. Splash, 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 splash. Oh, I haven't put the drain plug in. to spend the next 20 minutes mopping up all the oil I just poured all over the floor.
Oh shit.
Right. 4 litres in there now. We'll just start the engine up and make sure everything's circulating fine. Okay, so that's the engine ran up. I've run out of kitchen milk, so we're going to resort to the internationally known TP. And then just... God, that's tight. Why is that so tight? Whew, that's the hardest bit of this whole bloody service. Okay, so just clean the oil on the dipstick, and I don't know if that will show up at all. As if you see here, these crosses, so the bottom line here, that is the minimum line, and the top line there, that's the top line, so the maximum fuel line, maximum oil line. If it comes over the top, you put too much oil in. If it comes underneath, you haven't got it anywhere near enough. So, test it. So the oil is only just on the very end, and then here. So I've got all up here to fill up. So that's going to be my extra 2 litres.
Done that before.
What, kick this better?
Ew.
Okay, so just dip it again then. And then we'll pull it up, and look at that. It's on the money. Lovely clean oil. So, just last job to do for service wise, just check the fluid levels of your coolant reservoir, your power steering reservoir, your brake reservoir, your screen wash reservoir, and just top all those up if you can. Make sure that's all tight. Remove any sort of like spilt oil so that you know you don't have any sort of burning smells, and also that you know you've done a good job then. Okay, service is done. Last thing we need to do, road test.